All right, grace and peace, grace and peace. Type of one, if you guys can hear me. Am I muted? Am I sounding good? Type of one, type of one. We're having some technical difficulties earlier, but we're gonna get this right. We're gonna get this right. So let's get back into our lesson. Trying to get all right. Let's get this going. All right. So as we get started again, Greek, like I said, is a inflected language. Greek is an inflected language. An inflection simply refers to the change that a word undergoes, that a word undergoes in accordance with their grammatical function in the sentence. So inflection refers to change. Inflection refers to change based on their role in the sentence. And again, we're dealing with verbs, and we know that verb is an action or a state of being, an action or a state of being. A verb makes a statement about a subject, or it transfers an action from the subject to an object. It makes a statement about a subject, or it transfers an action from the subject to an object. And then we talked about a finite verb, which it takes a direct object. So let's look at, for example, let's look at something. Well, so let's take, I think we did luo before. So we'll do luo. Luo is very common first semester Greek word. Luo. Now, here on the end, well, this lu, lambda, upsilon, this is what's known as your stem. This is the stem. This is the lexical or the dictionary meaning. This is where the meaning is found. We call this a lexical morpheme. A lexical morpheme. It conveys the lexical meaning of the word, which is the word that you would find in the dictionary. So you have your stem, And then what's added on to the stem, what's added on to the stem, this is what's called your affix. This is person, number, things like that. So this is going to be your affix, suffix, really. Your suffix. This is what's called a person, number, morpheme, or suffix. Because luo is I loose. So it is first person singular. First person singular. The stem, that's your lexical morpheme. Your suffix, this is your person number. Your person number suffix. All right, let's get back to that. That is your person number suffix. So let's look at a pattern or a paradigm or a pattern. So we have luo, lu ace, lu a. So we have first person, second person, third person, singular. I loose, you loose, he, she, or it looses. Now you have your plural. Lu is still your stem. Lu, amen. Lu, amen. Lu, ete. Lu, usen. First person, second person, third person, singular, plural. So, and what we have now, what we've done is we've added a connecting morpheme here. So you have your stem plus your thematic vowel plus the ending. The real ending is men. That is we. So you'll see that added on for other verbs in the indicative mood. Men is going to be we. Te. Te is going to be plural. Y'all. And then usen is they. So your stem is lu all the way down. Your stem is lu, and you're just adding on the suffix, the person number suffix. Any questions in the chat so far? Anything? Any questions? we're going to go. Oh, this is just giving you like a brief overview of this. These are verbs. So I, you, he, she, it, we, y'all, they. So when we look at the Greek verb, Greek verbs have, move this up a little bit. So Greek verbs have 6 characteristics or 6 properties. You're gonna have mood, voice. Well, mood and voice. We'll talk about these really quick. So mood. When we dealing with mood, mood deals with how the speaker relates to reality. Mood is how the speaker relates to reality. How the speaker relates the verbal idea to reality. Let me get that out of the way. I'll deal with it one at a time. So mood is how it relates to reality. How does the verbal idea relate to reality? So you have the indicative mood. Indicative mood is reality, truth, factual, certainty. So you have indicative, you have an indicative mood, you have the imperative mood, which is a command. Imperative is command. Subjunctive mood. The subjunctive is contingency or possibility. Subjunctives only occur in the present in the aorist tense. It's a should or might type of idea. You have you have indicative, you have indicative, imperative, which is a command, subjunctive, optative, and the infinitive, which is it can infinitive. It expresses the verbal idea without limiting it to person and number. So mood is how does the speaker, the author, relate the verbal idea to reality? the imperative, subjunctive, optative, and infinitive. We're not going to cover all of those. You don't have to worry about that. These are what is called potential moods because they all move further. They're moving further away from reality. Your most common is the indicative. It's factual. It's reality. And so the as you change moods, you move further and further away from reality. So Greek has six. We talk about six characteristics. The first one is the mood. First is mood. How is it dealt with in reality? The indicative mood affirms the factuality of the statement. I have mercy. That's a reality. That's factual. Next, 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 we have voice. Voice. That's a characteristic of Greek verbs. Voice. What is the Greek voice? Voice in Greek is who is doing the action. Who is doing the action? Who is doing the action? Who is doing the action? This refers to the way that the speaker chooses to relate the subject of a verb to the action of the verb. So you have active voice, passive, and middle. And middle is a little tricky because we really don't have it in English as much because you can have it like a reflective middle and things like that. There's very few true middles in Greek. So with the active, who is doing the action? The subject does the action. The subject does the action. Joe hit the ball. Joe is the subject. He hit the ball. Passive. Joe was hit by the ball. So the subject is acted upon. The subject is acted upon. And then middle it's like a boomerang effect. The subject does the action for his own self-interest. There's self-interest, there's self-determination, self-benefit. So in Greek, you have active voice, passive, middle. In middle, the subject has some kind of interest in the action. The subject has interest in the action. So to see the kind of compare this in Matthew 27:31, it says they put on him his own clothes. So there's is active, there's action. And in Mark 6:9, we see the middle force, do not put on two tunics. So don't put on two tunics yourself. Or so there's There's interest in that. Self-interest. Self-interest in that. So far, we've covered mood and voice. Voice is who is doing the action. Mood, how is it related to reality? Now we get to tense. Tense. Verb tense. Now, tense, or what we want to focus on more, is called aspect. Aspect. So when you hear, a preacher or someone say, present tense, imperfect tense, Greek deals with the aspect, or what kind of action. Greek, Koine Greek, really does not focus a lot like we do on time. So, past tense, yes, it happened in the past, but Greek wants to know what kind of action was this. So, action sart is what you'll hear it called. So, aspect is the portrayal of the action. Portrayal of the action. Well, you know what? I can put it up here. Hang on. Aspect is portrayal of the action in terms of its progress. In terms of its progress. So, when dealing with the Greek tenses, you have present, future, imperfect, aorist, perfect, pluperfect. Aspect deals with how is the action accomplished in the mind of the writer. How is the action accomplished in the mind of the writer? So, when we look at aspect, or what kind of action, you're going to have three, basically. You have the imperfective aspect. Imperfective, this is a process. It's continuous. It's ongoing. So imperfective is ongoing action, repeated action, habitual action, repeated, continuous duration. So you have imperfective. Then you have aoristic, or holistic kind of action. Holistic action. This focuses on the verbal idea in its entirety. It doesn't comment on the process or the abiding results. So it's as a whole, the entirety. It's kind of like a little fuzzy dot. There's no definition to it. It's just the summation of the action. And then you have perfective. Perfective. perfective, or you'll hear it sometimes it referred to as stative. Stative. And this is the state or condition of the results. So it's focusing on the results of the action, the state of the action from a um, completed action in the past. So you have here kind of action. Time in Greek, when you're dealing with verbs, time is like your third string QB. It's not that important. Greek wants to know aspect, aspect, aspect. What kind of action are we dealing with? What's taking place? So you have simple, undefined action. You have continuous durative, you know, your present tense and your imperfect tense. And then you have completed or culminated action. This is your perfect and your pluperfect tenses. So again, tense also is determined by the writer's portrayal of the action, not yours. The writer or the author's perspective. It's his portrayal of the action. So that's why certain writers will write and choose certain tenses. Certain tenses to show something. Certain tenses to show. Give me 1 second. All right. So that's tense. Again, tense is dealing with what kind of action is going on uh, here with the verb. So when dealing with that, the kind of action, what's taking place. Again, tense is very, 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 very important. All right, so let's look at the present tense. We'll look at present tense on this video and we'll stop. So, present tense. We're going to look at present, active, indicative. Present, active, indicative. Present, present refers to your tense. Active, voice. Indicative, mood. So when we deal with that, we'll do echo. Echo is I have. So omega is your first person active singular. Person number singular I. So echo, ek being your stem, ekes. This thing is terrible to write with. Eke. So I have, you have, we have. I mean, he, she, or it has. Ekamen. Ekamen. We have. Ekate. Y'all have. Ek. Usen. They have. So, in each of these, your stem, how do you find your stem? You just cut off the omega and you'll have your stem, ek. So, ek is the stem. These are your person number suffixes that you add to the stem. Here, the actual, so with these, with here really, your stem, this is your stem. This omicron, epsilon, these are what's called connecting vowels or thematic vowels. And then your true ending is men, is always we. Te, and we'll put a dash because this can either be an omicron, alpha, omicron, alpha, epsilon, alpha. So men, te, usen are your true endings, and then you just add the vowels to that. So it's kind of like a equation, a math problem. So stem plus connecting vowel plus person number suffix. Men. Lu amen. Lu amen. We have. We loose on this case. So these are your true endings. Men is always going to be we. Te, y'all. Usen, they. So present tense. The present tense means, so it's present, which means it's ongoing. Ongoing, repeated, continuous, habitual action. Active means the subject is doing the action. Indicative mood, this is truth. This is reality. I really have something, as it would say. Whatever that would be. I have something. So that is just a brief overview of the Greek verbal system. The Greek verbal system gave which is important, and we'll get into the other tenses in a future lesson. So we covered Again, we covered tense, mood, present tense is what we're going to be dealing with. And so when you deal with Greek, the tense, you're looking at what kind of action is happening. That's what you want to look at. That's what it's concerning itself with. What kind of action is happening? All right, so this has been Rep C. This has been your lesson on the Greek verbal system. Just a broad bird's eye view. And we will continue our Greek lessons in the next video.